It's important, and of course we can't cover all the areas because we're strapped well, I wouldn't say strapped financially, but there are limits to what we can do because our staff, while it's close to 45 people now, I think, it's still not big enough to handle all the problems and crises that are out there. But we do the best that we can. We, approach the major issues to the extent that we can, and hopefully that will impact as many people as possible.
And how did you personally decide to work with this center? Or
it was something that I pretty much always wanted to do. When I went to law school, which wasn't too long ago, I knew I wanted to work for a nonprofit. I knew I wanted to do immigration. I knew I wanted to be of service to people. And when an opportunity opened up here, I just jumped on it, and it's been great ever since. I can't say enough about the people that work at the Legal Center, about Stuart, and about the partners that we have, especially groups like SAN, because it's just very encouraging for me to see other groups out there who are doing so much for the community when they themselves probably don't have enough resources for themselves. But as long as we can work together, we can really make a difference.
So you knew from the beginning you wanted to do something like that?
Pretty much so, yeah. I had spent a couple of years in Peace Corps. This was, more than 10 years ago. Then when I came back, I worked for an aerospace firm, but which was okay, but I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. The Peace Corps experience really turned me on to helping people, I guess. And ever since then, I've always wanted to be in a position where I could do that. Wow. And so I decided to go to law school, and at about the same time, I realized that this kind of organization was where I wanted to work. Okay, maybe it wouldn't have been the APA Legal Center, but something where I'd be helping people from different countries. It's just very inspiring for me.
So Peace Corps, you guys in Peace Corps go to different countries, or? Yeah,
it's a volunteer service where volunteers spend 2 years in a different foreign country. I was assigned to Cameroon in West Africa, and I was doing fisheries work. I was helping people build ponds and raise fish and things like that. But I haven't checked lately, but there must be... Peace Corps is involved with, I think, most developing nations right now. And they do a wide variety of different things, but I think most of the volunteers will be in some kind of teaching programs.
Yeah, I knew a guy I used to work with. He also went to Cameroon.
Oh, really?
As Peace Corps.
No kidding.
His name is John Church.
When was he there?
Probably about 10,
really?
12 years ago.
Wow. Do you still keep in touch with him?
No, he was working with me, but then he moved. He went to school to be a playwright, to a screenwriter.
Okay. Wow.
And then I kind of lost touch with him. But that's what he was telling me, it's mostly French speaking.
Yeah, right. It depends on what part of the country you live in, because French and English are both the official languages. Okay. And technically, if you're a citizen of Cameroon, you're supposed to be able to speak both. But it's very geographically divided. There's one portion of Cameroon where English is a predominant language, and the rest of it's French-speaking. So I was in the French-speaking portion. Yeah.
So before you went to Peace Corps, you even before that, you knew that you wanted to do some service.
I think so. I mean, when I left college, UC Riverside, that was when I was first thinking about service work. That was the first time that I had thought about doing Peace Corps. And it was a big step for me because I didn't know that much about it. I didn't know what was expected of me. And so when I got out of school, I was able to get in. I was fortunate enough to get a spot. But it was a real eye-opener for me because that was the first time I'd been really out of the country. And you're not there just as a visitor or a tourist. You're there to live and to work. So it was kind of a shock to me. I got lonely at times, of course, but it was just a magnificent experience just to be able to work with these people, to live a different culture, and to do what I was doing, helping people on a pretty big scale. It was, that kind of thing changed my life. It can change a lot of people's lives. So
That's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm really glad I did it. And, if I didn't do that, I doubt that I'd be here now. I'd probably be, working for a corporation or something. But, the way things turned out, I was able to act on that, and I ended up here, which is great. It's great.
Okay, that makes me think of a point. What would you say to, since you knew from kind of the beginning that you wanted to do this kind of work, mm-hmm. but a lot of people, they are not sure, or they may not, like in the South Asian community, a lot of people don't even know that there's such a thing as volunteerism.
Right.
They don't have the concept.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say to somebody to encourage them to either volunteer or to do some kind of community service work? Like, if you were a mentor to somebody, or if, somebody's going to college right now,
right?
Even in the general public, why is it important for people in the community to get involved with an organization, mm-hmm. to do community service type work?
Mm-hmm. Well, I never really thought about that before. I have this kind of differing view about volunteerism, and while I think it's great for most people, it's not for everybody. And one thing I fear are people who are more or less forced into being a volunteer where they don't want to be, and then they become, bitter, and it just becomes a real bad environment for a lot of people. But for everybody else, it's a real great opportunity to give back. And, when you think about your parents, your grandparents, anybody who came from overseas and really struggled to make it here, you want to honor that. You want to be able to carry on that tradition of working hard and making it for yourself. And being a volunteer is a perfect way to do that. With a group like SAN, for instance, real small group, but they do so much for the community, and a lot of people really appreciate that because you're making differences, very positive differences in the lives of people. And you can be a part of that, and it doesn't take much. When you think about volunteers, sometimes you think about people who put in 10 to 20 hours a week. That's not necessary. If you put in just 1 or 2 hours a week, that would really make a difference too. So it depends on what you're comfortable with, what you can handle. But I do recommend that people give it a try, because if you don't give it a try, you'll never know how really good it feels to help people and to make a difference in people's lives. It's just a great opportunity, and I'm sure SAN has plenty of things for people to do. Regardless of what your experience is. If you want to do filing, great. If you want to do outreach, wonderful. There are probably many more opportunities there than I can think of right now. So definitely a great place for people to get experience and to really give back to their communities and to their families.
Yeah, that's very good.
Oh, thank you.
And
I want to reiterate that it's been really an honor working with SAN, because they do so much for the community. Again, when we were doing our citizenship work for the past several years, we didn't really have an inroad into the South Asian communities. We weren't really familiar with them, how to approach them, how to work with them. But then all of a sudden SAN appears, and they've been kind of the conduit for us in order for us to get the information out to the communities and for the communities to get back to us and explain what their needs and issues are. So SAN has been very useful as a tool for us to be able to provide our services and to be more effective in helping a broader array of people.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you.